Okay, folks, we're going to give this a shot. See how it goes. We're going to work on some rivets. Some riveting rivets. Okay. Let's get the Nolan oil down here. Yeah, something like that. Let's make sure this brush is very clean because it didn't look like it was behaving like it was. Hey, Mr. Barnes, how are you doing? Went and had some people over for hanging out with us for most of the day. And one of the things that surprised me is that they said that in their country they came from that Black Friday's a thing there too. I'm like, you guys don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't understand how that's a thing, but apparently, it is. So that was something you guys do over there in the old world. Still have Black Friday, even though it's, I guess technically you could be celebrating Thanksgiving. You could be, celebrating kicking those people out. Good riddance. Be gone with your buckle shoes. Off with your buckly shoes. Well, I really had any plans on doing any kind of shopping today. If I did, I was in the market for getting a television because one of them died. One of them are in the back room. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the muffler rusty colored. While I'm thinking about that, let's go ahead and get light brown, black, and a little bit of white. It's your favorite color, white. I was actually going to try something tonight. I was going to try to do a multi-stream. But the problem with a multi-stream is then you have to pay for the software, and I don't know that I'm going to get my money's worth. I just wanted to kind of, maybe there was somebody out on another platform that Just something to do, you know. But that didn't go anywhere. No Thanksgiving here. It's a Dutch thing. It's a Dutch thing where the Pilgrims appropriated it. Huh. Well, let's get rid of this thing here. The Dutch, huh? You appropriating pilgrim, you. So still a bunch of sales over there, huh? Trying to get your hard-earned money. Now you got a notification. Plastic Soldier Company running like sales up to 50% off. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what they got there. No. Nothing I was looking for. Very few things were discounted, and those things that weren't, discounted enough to make me want to, take the plunge. Got to do better than that if you want to motivate me. They started them weeks ago here. Yeah, it seems like they did it as well, but man, they're just a lot of places are like, oh, it's the time of year where people are buying stuff. Okay, yeah, this stuff is for sale. Like, now you'd be enticed a little bit more than that. You're the one that doesn't watch TV. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Not watching television makes a lot more sense to me than watching it constantly. Now, there are some things that they could do that would entice me to want to watch more television, and that's to do programming that has you make decisions on what the characters do based on your input. And a couple of movies, I was gonna say miniseries, but no, it's actually a couple of movies have done that. And during the course of an hour and a half movie, you might have 20 choices. So it's a fair amount, and depending on, what you decide affects the outcome of your movie or whatever. And that's actually probably a pretty cool concept. But I can see why they don't want to do that, because it's a pain in the butt to do that. It's a lot of filming and stuff like that. You got to film scenes that somebody may never even see, or choices based on choices that they may never make. But there's a couple of shows that have done that on Netflix. The choose your own adventures type thing. One of them was a romantic comedy, another one was a hey, what's up, GB? GB. Oh, that sounds for Great Britain. No, it's actually Canada. What? Um, Netflix has done two. They've done a romantic one. I can't remember what it was called, and one that was a romantic comedy. One of them was one of the Black Mirror series, and I really liked that. I'd watch more television if there was more programming that way, instead of just like, okay, well, I'll just see what happens here. That would definitely be a format I would watch more television with. Gun barrel. Did you ever tell me what that stood for? You have to spell gun barrel that way or you get arrested in Canada. They're going to think you're a right-wing extremist. Does gun barrel mean anything like that? No, it's nothing. Interesting. You have a unique name. Unlike the skirmish rules I was coming out with, I wasn't coming out to market them. I was coming out with them. I just wanted to give them my own name. Before I started playing the Face of Battle. Face of Battle hadn't even come out. And about the same time the Face of Battle came out, there was a rule set that came out that had exactly the same name that my game was coming out. It pissed me off. Just a little spin on gun barrel, okay? Yeah, you gotta watch what you write there. I think you're a troublemaker. Okay, now, this is the exhaust. So this area around the exhaust is going to be really smoky. And that'll look okay. Normally I'd be like, man, I don't know if that's gonna turn out okay. We've done enough times that pretty comfortable with how that turns out. All right, back to doing the 1,000,001 rivets. You ever built Canadian troops, like one of the armored brigades or something like that? The Canadians were actually involved in some pretty intense battles, and some pretty interesting battles, honestly. They didn't go to the desert, but they went to Italy and Northwest Europe. I made him take in my Sherman 5s and turn them Canadian. I got to turn them into something else. The unit I painted them for. Let's see, you do all the research you want, and then you come across something else that's different. I mean, ultimately, it probably wouldn't bother anybody, but it kind of bugs me. So we'll turn them into something else. It's just a matter of just moving some decals around and done with that. This little exercise takes forever, but I think it's worth it. And we'll be on again in the morning. At least that's the plan, anyways. We'll go get some refill with some water. Be right back. Yeah, we'll see how it goes this evening. If too many of you guys are doing shopping things today, we'll just have to hold out for tomorrow morning. But I just figured, hey, it's an opportunity to do a little bit of this painting. Not gonna paint itself. As a matter of fact, I did forget to check on something. I didn't find that many things that were, a good deal. Okay, that's good. This brush is a little thinner than the other one. The other one's just been through a lot. I've used it for faces for a while. They sent an Essex order in for free postage. They don't charge that much, though, did they? I've had excellent service from Essex. And there's only two gripes I have. There's three gripes I have with Essex. Only three. The biggest one is that they still use kind of a soft alloy. So I remember when the soft alloys came in, when they moved to the harder alloy around 89 or 90. And at that time, I was pretty much only doing GHQ stuff. Whether it was 2400 scale ships or the 1285th Armor. That's what I was doing. And they changed to this more pewter rich thing, and they had to go up in prices, yada yada yada. Well, I didn't like the going up in prices, because at the time that I went, I was 6 pounds tracked. That's pretty reasonable. So you just save 6 pounds. Yeah, well, I mean, every little bit helps, you know. But when they moved to that new alloy, I didn't like it, because it was like, man, now it's much more difficult to bend it back into place. It could crack because it's more brittle. But the problem is it doesn't begin to if the alloy is harder, you could just like barely touch it. You're not going to bend it. It takes more to bend it. So in the long run, I like the harder alloy. Well, there's still a lot of Essex figures I've come across that are still a bit soft. So that's one problem I have with them. I don't like DVA Army packs. You know, if I don't mind having extra figures, I'll pick the figures I want to paint. You know, and they make some pretty decent stuff, which leads to my the last gripe is a lot of their figures they have shown that are painted, and they're not painted, let's just say, the best. So sometimes there's some figures that are actually pretty decent, but the examples painted on their website just don't do them justice. So that's really my only gripe with Essex. They have been around, and a lot of their stuff is kind of a blank canvas. So if you're doing kind of paint by numbers, you may have to invent a lot of the details on the figure that may not be there, but that's okay. They have some guys that have some awkward positions, but by and large, that's just kind of the exception. But you buy an army pack, you'll get like you might get everybody in an awkward position. You avoid cast metal long spears and pikes. Well, the nice thing is you can just snip those off and just put needles. Which I'm a big fan of using needles. Oh man, what do you mean by that? Well, if you watch my programming, you know exactly what I mean by that, because we don't promote that kind of stuff. But if you don't watch my programming, I don't have the scars to prove it. I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, I like replacing that stuff too, because then you don't have to worry about it. You never have to worry about a spear breaking. So. And see, here's the situation. I would say that all the Essex figures have the same face, but it's a face that can work with a lot of things. It's not like the Britannia face, You use broom bristles, even for 15s. Yeah, I've heard of people that do that. I just thought that mostly it was like for 28s. Does Essex still even make 25s? I bet they do. They just don't sell a whole lot. I've always had really good service from them. As a matter of fact, the last 15 millimeter figures I bought were Essex. I bought them and then I stopped doing DVA stuff. I was going to do medieval Spanish and grenadine. I'll get back to it someday, or I won't. As long as I'm still painting stuff, it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. Man, this thing it has so many rivets to give somebody it's just a nightmare of rivets. You say this unit was called 7th Queen's Hussars or something like that? This order was packed for medieval spearmen, 16 different packs. I bet they love picking my orders. Well, they should love all their customers. I don't see why you'd want to have a bunch of them in the same pose. Yeah, I remember there was a particular vendor that had a particular figure line in the United States. They carried them. They're out of business now, but they used to carry them. I'm trying to think what the name of the vendor was. They're in Wisconsin. Oh, the Last Square. And they were a vendor historicon. I realized that they had Roundway. They carried Roundway miniatures, which I'm a big fan of. Not to just use exclusively, but to mix with other things. I painted a fair amount of Roundway miniatures. And, I called the guy up to see when they were still in business. Hey, do you have this, that, and the other? I can't check for you. I said, okay, because I don't want to order, 20 packs and they only have 8. And, I ended up buying the figures for something that they don't have all the stuff for. They don't get anywhere. Like, I'd like to know that before I order. And the guy was too busy to check what he had in stock. Well, they didn't get a sale, I didn't want to order 16 packs, then only have 4. Have a few round way to add these units. More variety, the better. Absolutely. I use everybody. Like if I'm doing like medievals, everybody gets used. Essex, Old Glory, minifigs, Brown Way, you know, as long as they're the right type thing. Who else? I'm sure I'm missing just about everybody. Um, who are those guys that I've had really good service from? Man, the guys that I have I just can't remember anymore. I mean, I haven't looked at that stuff in 2 years, over 2 years. The alternative armies guys. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Hey, we don't want to just throw this stuff on there together, man. There's veterans that, you know, that freaking died in these things. The least thing you can do is try to paint this to the best of your ability. I can see a few UK manufacturers struggling now. They can't ship to the EU. NI, what the is? And Northern Ireland? They can't ship to Northern Ireland. What's going on in Northern Ireland? Why can't they ship to the EU? Just additional costs? I don't know. That's just. Well, all the wargaming happens in the UK, anyways. I mean, I'd say, I don't know, what would you say, half the wargaming in the entire world happens in the UK? I'd say that's not too, I don't think that's too outlandish. Definitely disproportionate to the size of the population. historical wargaming, anyways. New EU shipping rules. They're crazy. I hate rules. I'm anti-rules. No. Hopefully something gets done about the shipping between, you guys and us. Because it used to be just fine. And the shipping time was about the same. And then it wasn't. And then COVID happened and everything went to shit. So, about that time. I don't know if it was directly a result of COVID. I'm going to blame it on COVID. And, almost everything I've always wanted, wargaming wise, has always come from the UK for me. Always. There's probably somebody struggling in the UK is probably thinking the opposite. I mean, everything I've always wanted is from the United States. I don't know what the hell they're, what kind of stuff they're looking for, but everything I've always wanted has always been from the UK. The manufacturer, anyways. I find this to be a very attractive vehicle. I didn't always used to. You need stuff from the US. We don't make anything here, man. Yeah, the only thing always threw me off is the spacing here of these two wheels. You got like boom, 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 a pattern, boom, like boom, 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 boom. It's just the nature of the beast. I think it's a really attractive vehicle. But as I said before, I think most vehicles are attractive. Regardless of nationality in the Second World War. Every country's got some ugly ones too. '19th century miniature, splintered light. Oh, you're one of those guys that likes splintered light. Well, good for you. I can't stand their figures. I don't know. They're really lanky, and they don't make any stuff that I like. Like I don't care about it. I mean, the closest like the Irish. I mean, I would have done the Irish or Picts or something. I don't know. Just what I still would have mixed them in with some of my stuff. I actually have some splintered light Normans. Sorry, I have some splintered light Normans. I never got around to doing the Normans. I'm gonna take a guess out there. I'm gonna take a guess that you're not one of the people in the UK that dislikes the Normans. I personally like the Normans. I generally gravitate towards anybody that has cool uniforms. You know, if you got cool uniforms, you got two sides. On one side has cooler uniforms. That's what I like. Or armor or whatever it is that they have. It's just. I mean, that's why the Germans are so popular playing the Second World War. They got cool stuff. I mean, they're rat bastards, but they have cool stuff. Depends on the sculptor. Yeah, that is a big deal, isn't it? Like these Airfix figures, man, that sculptor Mr. Cameron, that's some amazing sculpts. And I've always like dismissed them. I mean, I've had these figures like 1981, some of them. It's really empowering to paint something that you didn't think much of and you've had for almost your entire life. That's a pretty cool concept, if you ask me. And this thing's come. You know, first I'm like, I don't know how this is turning out. It just doesn't stand out. And then you make all those rivets pop, and we haven't even done the colored drippings, which there's not a ton of. But you know, some rusty areas and one things, and this thing's just gonna come alive. And I'm gonna be like, all right, let's do another 8. Top notch. So they really are amazing. And you know what's really amazing about them is I've always overlooked them. I mean, like I never ever thought they looked bad, but it never occurred to me that I would have painted them. And it's not because they're plastic; it's that they're soft plastic. I'm borderline terrified that the paint isn't going to stick to them, and I'm going to get a bend of a rifle, and the paint's going to come off that rifle, and I'm going to just have to take all those figures and just put them in the display case, and that's it. You know, the worst case scenario, we'll just have these for display. You know, but I think they'll be okay. But I'm definitely treating them like they're made out of paper mache. So. But they really are. My only gripe with some of them is just they got some severe elastic in their socks. I mean, they're pulled all the way up to their belly button. You know, but. So I didn't know that there was a lot of people in the UK that were like anti-Norman. And I'm like, I don't get it, you know? I've always think they look kind of cool with the nasal helms and the designs on their shields and, you know. They were assholes, but so was everybody else. You know? The first, the first medieval figures I bought were from 19th century miniatures. Well, they were just called Old Glory back then, and it was the Spanish Normans. I always started with Airfix using enamels that flaked, wore off. Yeah, see, and the common thing is that you think, okay, well, enamel's going to stick better. And it will. The problem is it's inflexible. So. And this is probably super anal retentive, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. So yeah, I'm really partial to, you know, British stuff of the Second World War. I think the Desert is classic. You know, both sides are interesting. I cracked the code, I think, today on the Africa Corps, on their numbering system. And then found out that, oh, it was in Panzer colors all along. Motherfucker, you know. But still, the color thing wasn't in there. Didn't say about the... what did we say these guys are called? Seventh Queens something? Royal Hussars or something? Yeah. One of the ones that these guys got decimated, unfortunately. Almost ready to make another order for these things, but I got this one in the M10 to paint. I think I'm gonna hold off on the M10. Whenever I do it, I'll probably get another 2 or 3. Have a bunch of the junk on them. They like to collect junk a lot, like barnacles, barnacles of accoutrement. Yeah, it's still early. But I want to get some progress on this. Get enough progress done that, like, oh, I got to keep painting this thing because I'm almost done with it. should be on tomorrow morning. But I'm actually going to go ahead and scrub it. How long have we been on here? Almost an hour. Yeah, I'm really tired. I'm really, really tired. We're going to leave this on the tabletop. This is what we're going to come back to. The tour is basically done. And this is what supposedly the counter scheme looks like. There's no light blue there. Actually looks pretty good. This is gonna be a good looking tank. So alright folks, thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you guys in the morning if you're morning people.